Hey, what's up, everybody? This is John Ruffin, and welcome to the Core Amazon Web Services Simple Storage System Screencast. Yes, we're going to talk about S3. What are you going to get? You're going to get the S3 Core Concepts Overview. You're going to get the S3 Core Concepts How-To using the AWS console, and then you're going to learn how to automate those core concepts using the Amazon Web Services SDK and Node.js. Let's get started. Simple Storage System, S3. What is it? It is secure, durable, highly scalable object storage. When you use S3, your objects are stored in something that's called a bucket. A bucket is a term you're going to hear over and over and over and over again. You can do lots of things with this thing that we call a bucket. But what is this? Secure, durable, highly scalable object storage. Let's think about object storage. This is a floppy disk. This is a type of object storage that we used to use. Is it secure? Well, if you look on the bottom right, there's a little tab right there that you can push that tab down and this disk won't be writable anymore. Pretty secure, right? No, not really. Is it durable? No, data on this disk can become corrupt, right? Even as you're writing to the disk, sometimes you won't write to the disk. Is it highly scalable? No, it's not highly scalable because there's no auto replication of the data on this disk somewhere else. It's not highly scalable, but it does give you object storage. You can store your files on this disk. Next, we have a thumb drive. Wow, this kind of replaced the floppy disk. Is it secure? No. Somebody can walk up and take it out of your computer. Somebody can walk up and take it off your desk. You can drop it. Somebody else can put it in their computer and access it. It's not secure. Is it durable? It's a little bit more durable than a floppy disk when you're writing to it. Is it scalable? No, it's not as scalable either, right? There's no auto replication of the data from this thumb drive to some external location. Not highly scalable. It is a type of object storage. Surely this is better, right? This is an external hard drive. Is it secure? No, it has the same flaws as the thumb drive and the flash drive. Is it durable? More durable than the thumb drive and the floppy. Highly scalable? No, same problem. But this does give you something more than the floppy or the thumb drive can, because you can back up files to this external hard drive. You can back them up, and then you can go back in time to do what's called version control on some of these files. So it does give you that. It is object stored. But what about S3? How is S3 better than all of these? Let's get your mindset right. Now, when you think about Fort Knox, you think security. It's difficult to get into Fort Knox, right? So think about where the U.S. stores all that gold bullion. Think about trying to walk up to Fort Knox. There are people on that roof. They're going to see you before you see them if you're trying to walk up to Fort Knox. Those airplanes, they're going to see you before you see them at Fort Knox. It's going to be difficult even if you get past the guards in the airplanes for you to scale that fence. You can think of this picture as an AWS data center, highly secured. So how does S3 secure our data? Well, by default, when you put an object in your bucket, it is private by default, meaning you as the owner, as the creator, you're the only person, only one who has access to that object that you just placed in your bucket. If you want others to have access to the object you placed in your bucket, then you have to create a policy or access control is set up for that specific object to give somebody else access to it. Now let's talk about encryption. When you're on your computer and you're moving data from your computer to your bucket in Amazon, it goes over HTTPS, which is encrypted. So over the wire from your computer to Amazon, it's encrypted. Also, when it gets to Amazon, there is something called server-side encryption. So at rest, there are 3 types of server-side encryption that you can use. And if you want to even go a step further than that, before your data goes over the wire, you can use software from Amazon to encrypt the data on your computer laptop itself even before it's sent over the wire in transit. So encryption is used very much in AWS S3. Durable. In order to understand the term durable, you have to understand the S3 storage tiers. So S3 comes with S3 standard, S3 infrequently accessed, it comes with reduced redundancy storage, and or it comes with Glacier. Now it's up to you to understand a little bit why you would want to use each one of these three different storage tiers as it relates to how fast you want the data, how frequently you want to access the data, and how much you want to pay too. That adds to when you want to use one of these storage tiers. Now the durability for S3 standard, S3 infrequently accessed, that's what the IA stands for. The durability that Amazon promises is 99.999, yep, 11 nines durability is what Amazon promises. And for those two tiers, they promise 99.99% availability. Those are two of the storage tiers, S3 standard, S3 infrequently accessed. And we'll talk about when and why you want to switch between standard and infrequently accessed. The next one is reduced redundancy storage. A little bit less durability, right? Only 4 nines instead of 11 nines. But that's the durability and availability for reduced redundancy storage. And Glacier is a storage tier all of its own. It is for data archival, meaning you don't want to get the data fast, right? You don't want to get it frequently. So this is the most cost-effective storage tier. But again, it all depends on how fast you want the data, how frequently you want the data. If you don't want it fast and frequent, then you use Glacier. If you want it fast and frequent, then you use S3. If you want it fast and not so frequently, then you use S3 infrequently accessed. I hope that makes sense. S3 standard, fast and frequent. S3 infrequently accessed, fast and infrequent. Glacier, not fast, not frequent, but it is very cost effective. Highly scalable. Across the globe, Amazon has what are called regions. A region is made up of availability zones. And you can think of availability zones as a data center. So think about that building in Fort Knox that has the US gold bullion. And you can think of a data center as one of those. So a region has 2 or more of those data centers, with 5 more coming online this year. Highly scalable object storage. So now we're back to this bucket concept again. A bucket has what are called sub-resources or properties. And you can see in this image that we're going to talk about some of these sub-resources and properties in our next video. But we have a permission property. This is where you set permissions and policies for the people you want to have access to your bucket. And that second one says static website hosting. You can host a static website from your bucket. And you can't do PHP or any kind of processing on it, but a static website you can host from this bucket. Logging is a pretty interesting topic as well, because you might want to know who is accessing your bucket, when are they accessing it, what are they accessing. You can look in the logs and see all that information, IP addresses and everything. You may want to have some type of event happen when someone uploads an object to your bucket, reads an object in your bucket, deletes an object in your bucket. You may want to have an event. You might want to be notified. There are many ways to have notification when these events happen, especially if you want to use Lambda. Versioning is another way, right? And when you think versioning, I told you about versioning a little bit when we talked about the external hard drive, about being able to go back in time, see different versions of the files if you use the external hard drive as a backup. In S3, there's a similar concept. If you turn on versioning, every time you add a new version of the document, your old version of the document is stored, as well as your new version of the document. So if you don't like your new version of the document, you can go back to your old version of the document, so you never lose information when you turn on versioning. Lifecycle is sometimes used with versioning. Remember we talked about the different tiers, S3 standard, S3 infrequently accessed, and Glacier? Well, in the lifecycle of your versioned objects, you may want to move them from S3, which is the standard. You may want to move that from S3 to S3IA, which costs a little bit less. And when you have it in S3IA, over time, you might want to move that file to Glacier because you're not going to access it frequently. You don't need it quickly. So lifecycle, you can automate the lifecycle of where your files live in S3 and how much you're paying for the storage of that file in S3, all the way to moving it to Glacier, all the way to actually deleting it. So that's the lifecycle. Cross-region replication. So we talked about regions. You might want to have some files in a region in Sao Paulo. You might want to have some files in a region in Tokyo, right? You can do that. Cross-region replication. You can replicate across regions. So tags, request to pays. Request to pays is kind of interesting too because let's say you have a bucket. You want people to have access to your bucket. If maybe you don't want to pay for them to have access to your bucket, then you can designate that whoever is requesting information from my bucket, have them pay for the transmission of the data. That is request to pays. And transfer acceleration means just what it says, right? If you want to transfer from your local over to Amazon Web Services fast in an accelerated fashion, then you can do that. Just depends on your ISP. So we've talked about what S3 is. We talked about what it offers. Let's look at it from the AWS console in the next video.